jewels, so the most expensive jewels of the Queen are stored in there. Huge crown, absolutely priceless. And it's guarded by guards known as beef eaters. You would have seen them in the red outfit and a black hat. It's also the area where if people were being executed, they would come here, they would be tortured here, chopped off heads, hung, all this kind of thing. And actually an interesting little thing is that when British people drink too much and the next day they have a bad headache, they call it a hangover. And actually that phrase comes from when people used to be executed in places like this. Because if somebody was going to be hung, many people, lots of people would come to watch. It was good entertainment. There was no internet or Netflix then, so it was good. You would come down and they would drink and eat and just, you know, get completely. And then the next day they would feel terrible. So it was about the hangover from watching the hanging.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
저거 뭐 같아요?
잔디깎기 같지 않아?
한디깎기예요?
아닐까? 뭐 감시하는 걸까?
몰라. 언니 약간 배트맨차 같이 생기지 않았어요?
잔디깎기는 아닌가 보다.
그쵸? 너무 귀여워.
뭘 자르는 건 없는 거 보면 쟤좀 뭐지 진짜? 감시 카메라 같은 게 있는 거 아니야? 사람들.
약간 고양이 같지 않아요? 적당한 거리를 유지하면서 귀여움을 주는.
어디로 갈까? 이거 조정하는 사람이 있는 것 같은데.
여기 적당. 로봇 청소기인가? 왜 저렇게 다니지? 왜 누가 조정하나? 누가 조정하나?
아닌 것 같아. 딱 생긴 거 보면.
아, 뭐가 조정하지 않는 것 같지? 언니 저거 그거 아니에요? 폭탄 날리는 거?
아 그러게.
그쵸?
그 뭐지? 투석기.
게임에서 많이 보던 건데?
투석기. 그래서 설명을 해주려고. 근데 얘 이름을 까먹었어. 문제는 런던 캐슬, 런던 런던.
그것만 빼고 언니 설명을 해요.
Teacher sent me a message that we meet
Yeah.
45.
45 under.
not 15,
Yeah.
in the boat area.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
earlier, because due to COVID-19 restriction, we meet, you know,
Yeah.
keep distance.
We have to keep distance.
Yeah.
So we have to go.
We have to go early because
Okay.
I don't know how to explain.
Yeah. Okay. 뭔가 추울 거를 다들 예상을 한 거지.
여기 눈이 너무 예쁘지 않아?
진짜.
저기. 설마 연극 눈이?
진짜.
설마 그 말로만 듣고? 가서 보러 갈게요.
와.
뒷모습 한 번은 어떻게 내가 여기까지 왔는데?
가자.
언니 이거 봐봐요.
오 멋있다. 철사 엮어서 물었네.
그니까.
아 여기 내려와 볼 걸.
되게 화투차가 살아있다.
가자. 아니야, 쟤네 못생겼어. 아프리카에서 봐야 돼, 얘들아.
아 맞아 그렇긴 하지.
아프리카의 조형물들이 보면 되게 사실적으로 되게 잘생겼어.
그리고 걔네 기념품도 너무 좋아.
Yeah, I think most are, to be honest, unfortunately.
진짜 유명한데.
It should open soon, but not today.
여기 봐. 오 예쁘다. 이거 같아. 나 이거 근데 페이스북에서 본 거 같은데?
아, 그래? 아이고.
우리 이런 거 다 찍어갔다가 저장해 놔가지고 다음에 여기 같이 보여. 9월 25일에.
이 크루즈를 타면 얼마인지는 모르겠지만 이 크루즈를 타면 웬만한 거 구경을 다 하고 거기 웨스터민스터를 갈 수가 있어가지고
언니 진짜 여기 와서 밥 먹으면 짱 좋겠다.
그러니까 그날은 여기서 크루즈를 타기 전에 밥을 먹고 크루즈를 타야 되지.
우리 저 돔에 들어가서 먹어요 언니.
그러니까.
우와. 나 이런 거 퍼즐로밖에 못 봤는데.
아, 진짜 타워 브릿지다.
그러니까 진짜 타워 브릿지다. 우와. 우와, 짱 신기해.
저 위에도 건너갈 수 있나?
언니, 저 민트색이 너무 예쁘지 않아요?
회색이랑 되게 아, 회색 하늘이랑 되게 너무 잘 어울리는 거 같아.
지금 이 흐린 하늘이랑
배 타면 우리가 더 잘 볼 수 있을 거야. 그러게.
나 이거 진짜 잘 쓸 것 같아요. 이거 평소 아니에요. 대박.
우리 저런 거 타는 거 아니야? 저 앞에 가는. 나 벌써 멀미해. 아, 가자. 체육관.
아, 새우깡 먹고 싶어.
좀 배고파서 어떡하냐. 나 어디서 빵을 하나 샀었어야 되는데.
This one over there,
여기 식당? 진짜 이래도 아니었어. 저 배였어. 멀미나. Thank you.
Yeah, they're apartments though, yeah.
Very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks
Well, in
expensive.
here, this one here, this
Yeah.
tall one is called the shard.
Yeah.
And it was shard. And what shard means is like if you break glass. You know, you break some glass and you have a piece of glass, yeah? It's meant to look like a piece of broken glass going into the sky.
Yeah. Oh.
It was designed by a Frenchman. I've
Yeah.
forgotten how old his name, but he was paid for it, and then as an extra bonus, he was given an apartment in the Shard, which he then sold immediately for £6 million. One apartment.
Really expensive.
Yeah, on the top is a really nice restaurant you can go to.
탑 쪽에는
But it's I think it's the tallest building in Europe now. Look, you can't even see the top today.
Yeah. 디자인들이 되게
진짜 런던은 이래서
Covent Garden is a nice
Covent
area.
Garden?
You know, when you leave from Trafalgar, it's about a 10-minute walk. It's a nice
Yeah.
area with like
Covent
restaurants and shops, usually street entertainment.
Yeah.
I'd recommend that.
Teacher, Korea has similar building of that town.
yeah. Oh, yeah,
It
very
looks
similar,
like
yeah.
very
we
similar.
call this Sauron's eye.
Oh really? Yeah, yeah, like from Lord of the Rings, yeah. Oh yeah, nice. But it seems like in Korea, just go back one. But not so many tall buildings in Korea, no?
I think this one is too tall.
It's just because this one is so tall.
Yeah.
저기랑 빨면 돼. 내가 직접 빨아줘.
City Cruises welcomes you aboard. For your safety, please listen carefully to the following announcement. Please remain seated while the riverboat is moving. And if you leave your seat, watch your step and hold on to the handrails. We have life rafts and life jackets on board for every passenger, including children's sizes. Emergency exits are clearly marked with international symbols. Please take a moment to locate your nearest exit. In the unlikely event that we need to evacuate the vessel, remain calm and follow the instructions given by the crew. Thank you for your attention. The words "Entry to the Traitor's Gate" are painted on the river's north embankment, not far from the pier we just left. Imagine if you were a prisoner on a boat being taken to the Tower of London, the ancient stone fortress behind that sign. You'd know that if you floated through the gateway underneath, you might never see the outside world again. Anne Boleyn, the second wife of King Henry VIII, may be the most famous prisoner who was beheaded on Tower Green.
Thank you.
Today, you can visit the tower in perfect safety and see the crown jewels and the yeoman warders better known as beef eaters. Leaping forward in history again, we'll pass a huge grey and blue British warship named the HMS Belfast along the South Bank. During World War II, the Belfast fired its guns to protect the troops landing on D-Day. Today, it's a floating museum. This ship is a great place to take your kids, because after they run around all 9 decks, they'll certainly be worn out and ready for a nap.
The window in the apartment there.
아, 우와. 우와.
그 밑에 있는 건물들도 되게 멋있는데.
Tell the truth. Does London Bridge look especially historic? Maybe not at first. After all, this particular bridge is only a few decades old. But it's at least the 5th bridge that stood here. The Romans built the first London Bridge
This
almost
bridge here,
2,000
this
years
is actually
ago.
London Bridge.
The wooden bridge
Bridge
that
behind
stood
us,
here in the year
it's called
1014
Tower Bridge.
was pulled down by Viking warriors.
Yeah, it's just quite a boring bridge.
That's probably where the nursery
But
rhyme
historical
"London
bridge.
Bridge is falling down"
It's
got
historic.
started.
Yeah, it's been rebuilt
Parts of
many
London
times.
Bridge
Yeah.
fell down many times over the centuries, but it was always rebuilt.
Queen Elizabeth II opened the latest London Bridge in 1973. If you travel to the USA, you can see the previous bridge. An American bought it, shipped it across the Atlantic, and rebuilt it stone by stone in Lake Havasu City, Arizona.
의미가 있는 위치가 로케이션에
See, it says London Bridge. This bridge was opened in 1974, 76.
Yeah.
The bridge before it was bought by an American. He bought the whole bridge, and he wanted to buy London Bridge. He thought he was buying this bridge,
Yeah.
and he had this bridge made into pieces and taken across to Arizona and rebuilt. And it was only when it arrived he realised this is London Bridge, not that. So when you see this type of bridge in America, Arizona.
And 2 crow's nests on its mast. It's an exact replica of the Golden Hind, the flagship commanded by Sir Francis Drake on his historic voyage around the world. Why did Drake set off on this daring quest? For the glory of England, of course.
Unofficially, it's also more than likely that Queen Elizabeth I encouraged him to loot any Spanish treasure ships he encountered on the way. Drake returned laden with riches, and the Queen's share of that stupendous wealth amounted to an estimated £600,000 in 1580, the equivalent of many million today, more than enough to pay off the country's national debt. If you wanted to cross the Thames without taking London Bridge, you had to take a boat. Today, we'll sail under a series of bridges over the Thames, carrying cars, trains and pedestrians. Londoners love a good walk. Blackfriars Railway Bridge has a roof topped with slanted solar panels. The train station on that bridge gets 50% of its energy from the sun.
That's amazing when you consider how rare sunshine is in London.
Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name.
This building over here on the left.
Shakespeare's company of players
Shakespeare's
performed
Globe.
Romeo and Juliet and his other plays in a theatre named the
It was a
Globe.
theatre when
A replica of
Shakespeare
Shakespeare's
was,
Globe
writing
now
plays,
stands
so
on the south
over
bank
500,
near the
600
site of
years
the
old.
original.
And it
It's a
means that
round
when
building
people
with white
perform,
plaster
they're in the middle,
walls,
and the chairs
exposed
are
oak
all
beams,
around.
a
Actually,
thatched
there's no
roof,
chairs, you just
and an
stand
open
to
yard
watch.
in the centre.
And there's no roof
On a
as
stage
well,
in
so
that
if it
yard,
rains, you
actors
just have to have
perform
an
plays
umbrella.
exactly as they were done in
You can go there.
Shakespeare's
I
time.
don't think it's open yet, but
Well,
it's in
not
process.
exactly. Did you know Juliet was originally played by a boy? Acting was considered an indecent profession for women, so young men played all the female characters. Wealthy playgoers could afford to sit in covered galleries around the
근데
sides
그
of the
매년
theatre.
바뀌는 거 아니야?
Common folk stood in the yard.
근데 거기에
People
나오는
didn't bathe often back then, and they had a habit of chewing garlic, which they thought protected them from the plague.
Tate Modern.
Imagine trying to play Hamlet or Lady Macbeth to an audience that, quite frankly, stank.
Today, some playgoers still stand in the yard at Shakespeare's Globe. But modern hygiene makes attending plays
This is St.
more
Paul's
pleasant
Cathedral.
than it was in Shakespeare's day.
Cathedral in country. See it through here. This is called the Millennium Bridge. But you can see St. Paul's Cathedral there.
The great grey dome of St. Paul's Cathedral rises dramatically from the highest point in London. A cathedral dedicated to St. Paul has stood there for over 1,000 years. St. Paul's is an active place of worship in the Church of England, the national church of Great Britain. It's also a popular tourist attraction.
From the cathedral floor, you'll have a breathtaking view of the painted inner dome. If you have strong legs, you can climb the stairs leading to the top. Part way up is a circular balcony known as the Whispering Gallery. Ask a friend to stand on the opposite side, then turn to the wall and speak in a whisper. The gallery's acoustics are so perfect that you can hear each other easily.
June 3rd, 2012, and millions of spectators line the banks and bridges of the Thames.
Here they come!
Everyone in London seemed to be there, waving the British flag as more than 600 boats of every type floated past, from giant battleships to tiny sculls, including the entire City Cruises fleet. Queen Elizabeth II rode in a royal red barge with other members of the royal family. This was the Thames Diamond Jubilee pageant, marking the 60th anniversary of the Queen's coronation.
It was an especially proud moment for London's watermen. Licensed watermen operate many of the boats that carry passengers on the River Thames. Throughout London's history, the city has relied on boats for transportation, food and commerce. Back when there was only one bridge across the Thames,
Right hand side
London
here,
Bridge,
can you see the
and
lion?
watermen were
Lion's
the
face.
equivalent of taxi
yeah.
drivers
Yeah.
today,
It's got on here.
constantly ferrying
Actually,
passengers up and down
an
the
early
river.
flood
The
defence,
competition
so
for
that you
fares
could measure the
sometimes
height
turned
of the
cutthroat.
water. So there used to be a saying that when the lion is drinking,
But
London
sailing
is
the
sinking.
Thames could be a risky business.
When the lion hits, when the
The
water
river has
hits the
swift
main,
currents
the lion's
that
hair,
switch direction
London is
with
down the
each
drain.
change of the
So
tide.
it means London would be about to be flooded. So it's a defensive.
Sailing under the old
indicator.
medieval London
Good
Bridge
indicator.
was especially treacherous because of the narrow archways underneath. Water built up on one side of the bridge and streamed through like a waterfall. Some passengers got out of the boat on one side of the bridge and reboarded on the other, leaving the waterman to sail through on his own. Accidents happened with alarming regularity.
Today's watermen serve a 5-year apprenticeship, a process comparable to obtaining a university degree. Many of City Cruises' captains are licensed watermen, continuing a long and proud heritage. There's no better or more historic view of London than the one you have now, from the deck of a passenger boat on the Thames. As we sail through central London, you may see a row of green sculpted metal lions' heads along Victoria Embankment on the North Shore. These lions hold rings in their mouths for mooring boats, but there are also an early warning system for flooding. If the water rises to the level of their mouths, the river may overflow its banks. In the words of an old rhyme, when the lions drink, London will sink. When it's up to their mains, we'll go down the drains.
Nearby, along the north bank, stands an Egyptian obelisk or cast stone pillar. It's called Cleopatra's Needle, one of a pair of obelisks carved more than 3,000 years ago, long before the time of Cleopatra. The other Cleopatra's Needle is in New York City's Central Park.
What's an ancient Egyptian monument doing in London?
Good question. Egypt gave it to Britain in 1798 after Lord Nelson defeated Napoleon in the Battle of the Nile. 6 sailors lost their lives transporting this 180-ton granite slab to London when the vessel carrying it capsized. Cleopatra's Needle now stands between 2 guardian sphinxes that face the obelisk.
If they're guarding it, shouldn't they face outward, watching for danger?
Yes, but Queen Victoria supposedly liked them facing in. One sphinx was damaged during World War I, the second disaster to strike this monument in modern times. Some believe it's haunted by an ancient Egyptian curse. They say that at night, you can hear mocking laughter coming from Cleopatra's Needle.
The gigantic observation wheel on the south bank is called the London Eye. Each of the glass capsules around the wheel holds about 25 passengers, and the view from them is simply spectacular. In clear weather, you can see up to 40 kilometers or 25 miles in every direction. The wheel takes about half an hour to complete one turn. It moves so slowly that you can climb aboard while it's in motion.
The London Eye has 32 capsules, one for each borough in London. You'll see one of the most historic boroughs now on the North Bank, the City of Westminster, headquarters of Great Britain's government. Westminster's most famous landmark is the clock tower of the Houses of Parliament. You probably call it Big Ben, but technically you can't see Big Ben. That's actually the name of the largest bell inside the clock
어제 그거
tower.
봤잖아. 미드나잇. 아, 너무 예쁘더라고.
A light shines above the four clock faces on the tower to signal that Parliament is in session. Another sign that Parliament is hard at work is a Union Jack flying from the Houses of Parliament just beyond the clock tower. This splendid neo-Gothic building is officially known as the Palace of Westminster. To give you an idea just how massive that palace is, the flag on top is the size of a tennis court. We're approaching our next stop at Westminster Pier. Please remain seated until the boat stops moving. If Westminster is your destination, be sure to take all your belongings with you and return your audio guide to a member of the crew. Thank you for choosing City Cruises.
Millennium Eye here.
Yeah.
I've been on it when it first opened in 2000, and I don't know about today because it's quite cloudy, but usually when it's a clear day, you can really see more or less the whole of London. It's very yeah, really good. You can see Wembley even. Walk across to Parliament Square there. All good? Yeah.
가자.
I've got